See, I think it's worth taking a little bit of time off and understanding that if you were to take the square meters of space of formal construction in any modern city in the world today, nearly 80% of it would be housing of one form or the other. If you include hostels and hotels, definitely 80% would be housing. That's simply because each of us more or less require about 20 square meters per person to have a roof above our head in the night, but only may require 5 square meters or 4 square meters to work. So automatically that ratio, this is how it becomes in society. If you're in a school, you require only 1.5 square meters to work for that day if as a student per student. So that's how societies are, and it's going to be strongly housing dominated, and architecture as a glamorous profession is strongly been dominated by the visual image. And I guess I can't lament it, because that's the way also a lot of innovative work comes to the fore, but the fact remains that uh, we cannot have migration of talent and creativity from the more mundane aspects of architecture. We must be able to attract sufficient creativity, even if it's creativity of the residents. Clearly, architects have to be part of a solution in which equity is addressed in society. And at the very least, they should not be people who prevent equity, and we tend to do that through gates, through boundary walls, and so that's at the very basic physical level. Then we also do that through designing in a way that it doesn't actually make for better equity, it doesn't make for people to be able to access spaces which are common, public, and so on. We also have architects, very well known ones, who openly or covertly disagree with what I am saying. There are large numbers of architects who are actually working to create beautiful spaces. In your own part of the world, for example, I believe Renzo Piano has said at one point that I consider my task the creation of beautiful space in order that the society around changes to be able to appreciate beauty, even if it's only one by one, which is a valid argument. It's also, I may say, a very Italian argument, because as a society, the Italian people see beauty as one of the aspects of social development, which is a valid construct. But traditionally in Asian societies, family is the area which replaces that aspect of values. So you see loyalty or safety of the family as something that replaces that connection with beauty, for example. Or you might see that you hide behind the thing that if you are so poor or starving, then what's the use for beauty. So I'm not trying to negate the whole aspect of beauty as an argument here. I think there is a valid argument, but I think it can't be used alone to the exclusion of technologies for creating equity and larger scale social change and development as well.
Yeah.
I think clearly it has to be a bit of both, or a merger or a fusion of both. That would really be good architecture. And therefore, what we call good architecture in the West probably can be said to be good architecture from that context, but it can't be transported here and again be called good architecture in this society. In India especially, we have a distinction between architects and engineers which is legally predicated, which is a problem. And it is a problem for both sides. Just as architects become less and less technologically oriented, and therefore distance themselves from the needs of the population more and more because of that, because then they become more and more like artists sitting in an ivory tower. Engineers become more and more practical and not creative at all, while engineering actually, as it's practiced all over the world, is a highly creative field as well. For example, engineering, if I were to take that, is a left brain profession. It tends to, it doesn't believe that original solutions necessarily have a value. It's quite happy repeating an existing solution, saying, well, if it works, it works. After all, architects do that too when you do mass housing and you solve, so called solve one house and then you repeat it 10,000 times. So actually they are guilty of doing the same, but in the profession as a whole there has been a culture of valuing originality, which I think is too high, and of valuing beauty, which I think is too high, and of devaluing the development agenda, which I think is too low right now. You know, architects are not too badly taught in India. We have a fairly liberal kind of education, and I am happy with that. But I think what needs to be done is a little bit more orientation towards working with your own hands. Traditionally, we live in a very feudal society. People are not encouraged to, if you're an architect, you'll never make a wall in your life as a mason. And you know, even that little bit of practical training matters a lot, because then you get the confidence to be able to work with people who are implementing your ideas. You have architecture which is so divorced from the act of construction that it has become relegated, I would say relegated, I am using it carefully here, but still, to a profession that creates abstract space and visual beauty. And some architects have actually laugh at non-architects who do that kind of thing, don't we? You say, you know, that person, she doesn't even understand, she says, oh, I like this wood so much, you must put this in my bathtub or something like that. You say, you can't do such things, you can't do such mix and matches. And so as architects we tend to be a little superior and say, oh look, they don't understand about construction. But we are doing exactly the same. We don't understand about construction. What right do we have to design?